This leads us to the next session, which is going to be about a small LSP. And frankly, this is a small LSP by American standards. It's not a small LSP by European standards, can punch beyond its weight. So this is going to be an exciting presentation from Luis Miguel, who is the CEO of AvantPage. And before that, moving on, thriving in the global digital world. So Luis is going to talk about his company, AvantPage. He is responsible for AvantPage's mission to provide immigrants with the opportunity to reach their American dream, which is very special for an LSP, having a mission that is so articulated. He's passionate about helping clients communicate effectively with immigrants in the language that they both can understand. And with over 20 years of leadership experience in the translation industry, he works to the benefit of clients and the immigrant community. Luis is originally from Mexico, living in California, the United States. But Luis is doing other things too. He's also an Airbnb host, and with his cat, Gatubella, he loves to host people from other countries in their Davis home. So the floor is yours, Luis.
Thank you, Isvan. Good day, everybody, morning, afternoon, evening. And let me share my screen. Okay.
It is still just the Great Wall. Okay, now it's coming.
Okay, great. Thank you, Isvan. And may I say that this presentation owes a lot to your input and your suggestions. Thank you for the introduction, and I'm so honored to follow such a great panel. In many ways, this presentation talks a little bit about topics that were expressed during the panel. I'm going to be giving you a little bit of context about our company. AvantPage is what we consider a small company here in the United States. We have offices, the headquarters are here in California, but we have an office in Mexico City and an office in Warsaw, Poland, where we have most of our development efforts. And we've been in business for, this is going to be our 25th year. And the last 6-7 years is what I'm going to be talking about today in the context of our technology. And in the context of COVID, we want to tell a little bit of a story of how our company did a great job by combining people, technology, and processes. And in the COVID area, we had 3 people get sick. We had 30 plus close relatives that were also infected and in hospital. And we actually had 3 close relatives that died. It was a horrible year for everybody. And yet, at our company, we were able to reach and even surpass our goals for the year. We were able to go 100% work from home within a week. We were able to introduce new services. In particular, we introduced an OPI, over the phone interpreting, as well as a document remediation service, accessibility. We were able to fulfill all of our customers' orders without missing a beat. We grew several of our critical teams in terms of both productivity and headcount, in particular, significantly our sales and our marketing areas. We won quite a bit of new business, and we were monitoring very closely our employees' well-being, and a surprising result that at the beginning of the year and looking at the end of the year and even today, our employees are feeling better about themselves being part of our team. And why were we able to do all of this in the face of this horrible pandemic? And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about it because we made a decision a while back, and we're here based on the steps and the goals that we set to get to this point. So I mentioned that there's three critical factors in our strategy, and they were actually mentioned in the panel before. The emphasis in the conference here is technology, but I do want to acknowledge that we are primarily a service company, and the key to our success really, and most importantly, is our people. We are a mission-driven company, and we have recruited the people based on the three values that we have: empathy, opportunity, and excellence. And the people that we recruit, the way we treat them, the culture that we have, help them to become themselves. We always have people strive to be the best that they can be in the company. And that really shows in the results that we've talked about. The second factor that is really critical in its success of any company in a service area is the processes and procedures that we have. How is it that we have combined them with the people and the technology? Well, we choose technology that is very conducive to formalized and well-organized and well-defined processes. For example, we have a translation management system that is very specific to the industry. It's XDRF, and we have encoded our processes very well within there. And we train our people and all of our providers as well, so that everything is really well defined and everything works very effectively and efficiently, so that our clients are satisfied following the processes that we have so defined. And then the third element of our strategy here, and the one we're going to be exploring more in depth today, is our technology. And the strategy that we're going to be talking about today is something that we've been using for the past 15 or so years. I am a PhD in computer science, and I've always been very interested, followed the industry and developments outside the industry very closely. But in the last 7 years is when we have actually started implementing our own. And here we talk about not only what we are developing ourselves, but also what tools we use from the outside, how we incorporate them into our company. So we have come up with a sort of 6-step test for how we choose the technology that we use. Big part of my job as a CEO is to be looking around, coming to conferences like GALA, and to recognize the trends that are out there. What are other people doing? What are significant? What is no longer important? What is going to be rising to the top? And in particular, we look at machine translation, for example, is something that we've been seeing, for decades. It's been around, but it's been growing in importance more and more in quality, right? Is it significant for us? Well, for us, machine translation is significant, but it's not critical for our business because we work in two primary niches here in the United States, in healthcare and state and local government. Both of those sectors, for the most part, bar the use of machine translation from some outdated and I think preconceptions of the quality that they had, and therefore we are not really very active users of machine translation. What we have decided to do is just pretty much evaluate it, keep looking at it, and see how we could incorporate it into our systems moving forward. On the other hand, translation management system that I mentioned is something that is very important for us, because as our business has grown, as our processes have matured, and the kind of work that we have is increased significantly, translation management system has become very critical for us to be able to fulfill the volume, the quality, the timelines that our clients require. So what areas does technology impact? In the case of a translation management system, pretty much everything in the company, right? Is there any kind of action that will be required for us with this trend, with this system that we're looking at? In the case of translation management system, we decided that we do. And based on the two criteria below, our strengths and limitations, or should we buy or should we develop, we decided that in the case of a translation management system, it's best for us to actually buy. Why? Because as a strength we have, we're really a service company. Our limitation is really big in terms of being able to develop a large, complex system. And there's plenty of others out there that are really high quality. So in the case of a translation management system, we decided that it's better to use existing tools rather than for us to develop something from scratch or even using open source. Let's move on to the next slide. And some similar criteria was used in all of these different areas in our company. And these are systems that we have bought or rented. For example, in terms of our CAD tool, we use XTM Cloud. Again, an excellent system developed within our industry. Translation management system, XTRF, and interpreting management system, we use Buslingo. We use Bamboo HR to manage our 3-country different human resource needs. HubSpot is our customer relationship management system. QuickBooks we use for our bookkeeping and finances. And for underlying technology, yours, our infrastructure, we use the cloud for Microsoft Office 365, our email, our shared documents, and so on and so forth. So there's many other systems that we use. These are just a sample of the main ones that we have. And that we have, in all of these cases, we chose to rent or buy as opposed to develop our own. But we also found that all of these systems have a lot of things in common. And it's no surprise to all of you that we are looking at data. They are all big consumers as well as producers of data. Now, the data that they all have is pretty critical. Unless it's clean, unless it's consistent, unless it's available, it's not going to do very much help to us. All of these systems are a little silo. They produce the data in their own different, discrete way, and in very different representations, different, call it color, shape, sizes. And when we needed to, for example, do a quarterly business reports for our customers, we found that combining all of these sources of data was a big, big problem. So looking at that, how important data is in general for service businesses today, we decided that we are going to focus our efforts and our development into Avant system we're calling Avant Data, which essentially is a pretty large database that we have developed over the last 7 years to store our data, to analyze it, to process it, to connect it, both incoming and outgoing, and use all of the tools that we have mentioned before, as well as our customer tools, to aggregate the data in this Avant data system, and then do with it all kinds of fun and interesting things for our company. How did we go from being a small service-oriented, translation-oriented company to being able to really transition to developing our technology? This is important for small companies out there. I have a very well-developed and strong leadership group, and we're a consensus-driven company. We're based on teamwork, and the first thing I had to do is to convince our leadership team that this was something that was really worthwhile. This is consuming significant amounts of resources in our company. We actually had to build a development team from scratch. And the people that are in operations, the people that are in customer service, in bookkeeping, they didn't really understand why is it that we needed to develop this. So the first thing I had to do is to get their buy-in, convince them. The second thing is that we're looking at long-term. We understood that doing something like this is not going to pay off in even the next year. We had to be looking down 5, 6, 7 years, even longer term. It's what I foresaw the vision as a transformation to a hybrid kind of company, where it's not only services, but it's now technology and data that we're also going to be providing in the future to our customers. We chose a low cost yet high quality strategy. In particular, one example of this is using open source, again, going back to what the previous panel was talking about. And for example, the core of our database or our data system is the PostgreSQL open source system. We have also talked about the importance of people. Again, here it's really critical. It was not until I was able to identify and hire and develop a systems engineer that became part of our leadership team that we were really ready to start developing this technology. And last, but even not least, is that we have decided to develop in phases. So to be able to keep the engagement and the support of my leadership team, I wanted to deliver something to them that they would see the utility and the value to the company of this system. And in our next slide, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the modules. And the first module that we developed is called, after the data system, was the Avant Connect, which allows us to get all of the data in and out of the system. And then Avant View. That was the first concrete deliverable that we were able to give to our internal team. And that module allows us to visualize the data through reports, or to dashboards, through graphs. And that was the first time that my leadership team was able to see, okay, I can monitor how my project managers are doing. I can see what my sales are real time. I can understand how my account with client Y is performing this month. So it was very powerful and allowed the development to continue with the buy-in from the rest of the company. We are also developing the Avant portal system that's currently actually in customer hands. That is, essentially it's just a way for people to come into our system and access all of the modules, not only our internal modules, but also we have integrated the systems that we talked about before, for example, our translation management system and our interpreting management system. Our Avant workflow module is what we use for process automation. It's currently highly developed and it's providing huge savings for us in times and effort. And Avant Tools is the module that allows us to integrate sort of haphazard tools. For example, we have a rapid fire system that allows us to respond to clients with high quality translation 24/7 within 1 to 2 hours. Now we're going to be talking about some really important things. This again was mentioned before in the panel before. We actually, the title of the panel was, what can you do with $200,000 in many ways? That's about where we are in our spend for our system this year. Everything is being financed from cash flow. We look at it as an investment. I am the sole owner, private ownership, and I'm able to sacrifice, quote unquote, our profit margin because I believe it's an investment and I don't have to be fighting with other external investors or partners to maximize the profit. At the same time, it's also a curse for us because we don't have external money. We don't have, we're not a public company. We don't have external investors. And therefore, the budget that we can devote to this is limited by our cash flow. I would have liked to be able to move a lot faster on this. As I mentioned, this has been going on for about 7 years. We've kept everything under around 10% of the fixed costs at all times. In the previous panel, they mentioned about 10% of sales, which is much greater than our fixed costs. And I'd love to be able to move to that figure moving forward. And the kind of infrastructure that we have built is that we have 4 people that are employees that are in the systems and technology area. And we have 4 external developers that are working full-time for us in this effort. So getting close to the end, how is it that the technology was able to help us overcome and do really well during the COVID era? Well, it helped us to provide really real-time monitoring. We saw right away that our employee base was just as efficient and actually improved the efficiency that they had when they were working in the office. So it allowed us to monitor and understand what they were doing, how they were doing it. It allowed us to continue to report and actually enhance the reporting that we provided to our customers. We were able to keep everything, all our operations, as we migrated more things to the cloud, very secure and confidential, which is very critical for our markets. And it allowed us to not only meet our growth expectations, which we had set before the pandemic hit, but actually exceeded significantly. So we believe that the combination of people, processes, and technology used judiciously and looking at it long-term was key to our small company. And the reason I want to emphasize this is because smaller companies are able to do this if we set our minds to it and if we focus on it long term and if we start doing small steps moving forward so that we are able to transition, which is where we're seeing ourselves, to a hybrid technology, data, and service company, always keeping the focus on our customers and always making sure that we deliver the quality and the kinds of work that is very relevant to them. And I'm going to end in a very optimistic note after the COVID crisis that hit us all. And we were blessed over this past year with four new baby boys. Pictured here is Wyatt Spike James, who was born July 7th of 2020. And his arrival, as well as the arrival of the 3 other boys within the last year and a half at the company, has kept us really focused and seeing that there's new life. And we're really thrilled to be part of GALA and of this great industry. And we're open for questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much for this presentation, Luis. Beautiful way to end your presentation. So I'd like to ask the audience to feel free to ask some more questions. In the meantime, one thing from me, what are the concrete benefits for the customer of your strategy?
Thank you, Isvan. Our customers are actually, I'll give you a good example. During the COVID crisis, the state of California came to us and they had allocated huge amount of effort to disseminating the information about the lockdowns, about the vaccine, and they created a website, covid19ca.gov, and they needed somebody to help them translate it into 7 different languages. So through the connectors that we developed and the integration that we have with both our translation management system and our translation memory system, we were able to connect Avant data to their system, their CMS, which they've been using, and deliver that solution to them very quickly. We were able to implement it within a few weeks and to have real-time updates in 7 languages to the website.
Lovely. And how do you see the future? So what's going to matter in a couple of years for you or for an LSP that is similar to you?
Well, the way we are looking at it right now is this is our year of process automation. So we see that as critical to make sure that it sets our foundation even stronger. And looking further ahead, I see us becoming more and more able to provide sophisticated data services, data visualization, and maybe even some kind of subscription service to our customers. We're not sure exactly where that's going to be, but we just look at the foundation that we built with that data system to be so strong that will allow us to continue to provide more sophisticated services and more integrated services to our customers.
That's amazing. Thank you very much, Luis, again. And thank you also for highlighting the importance of the processes, because these days everybody is talking about data, about insights, but I think that you can only interpret data if you know what's underneath, and that is defined by the process. For me, that was a very important takeaway from this. And bye-bye, and thank you again, Miguel.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.